Welcome back to Comic Book History, episode 37. Wow, I haven't done anything with this series since April. Yes, because I had nothing much to talk about. This one I'm talking about the history of Carol Danvers, aka Miss Marvel, Binary, Warbird, and currently Miss Marvel. First appeared in Marvel Superheroes number 13. In the second appearance of also Captain Marvel, the original one. Marvel, the alien, the guy who she briefly fell in love with. One of several different boyfriends she's had over the years. Yep, and after that she appeared in issue 1, then popped up a few more times in the book, where then she eventually got her freaking powers. Yeah, she got exposed to some device, that Yang Vong, basically. He's an old enemy of Captain Marvel, the original one. She later did fight him as Captain Marvel years later. Basically, she got exposed to some radiation and got her powers, where she got super strength, flight, and that's pretty much it. And then then she became Miss Marvel in the first issue of her ongoing series released in 1977. Yes, her first appearance, believe it or not, was actually in 1968. She became Miss Marvel until 1977, so basically almost 9 years. Yes. Probably because Marvel had much bank on her anyways. Where she was created by Roy Thomas and, excuse me, Gene Colan. Yes, Gene Colan. The guy known for being a horror artist, created Carol Danvers. And if you look at her original appearance, she is thin, really thin, compared to how she is nowadays. Yep. She got a solo title and had a debut of also. The book had about two different writers on it. First, it had Jerry Conway as the writer, and after he left, we had Chris Claremont take over the title, and he was the writer for pretty much the rest of the title's run. We had two regular X-Men characters, who are known for being part of the X books, made their debut in this particular title, Deathbird and Mystique. Yes, Mystique made her debut in an issue of Miss Marvel, issue 19. Yeah, it's same case with Sabretooth. What Sabretooth, Mystique, and Deathbird are like three of a handful of characters associated with the X-Men comics, and made a debut in a non-X-Men title. That's simply the way it is. Yep. Of course, her first villain she fought in their series was frickin' Scorpion, and that's kind of how she started off her current book. She also teamed with Spider-Man for a couple of Marvel team up. And then after their entire got canceled in 1979 after just 2 years. Reason? Low sales. Yep. Though there was an issue 24 basically made. Yeah, it was penciled, it was written, the issue was all ready to go, but then the book got canceled. The issue wasn't published until 1994. What was the issue? Carol Danvers, aka Miss Marvel, versus Sabretooth. After that, she got moved over to the Avengers title for about 2 years. Until her run ended with the controversial and very stupid Avengers 200. Yep. What happened this issue? Well, it was revealed that prior to this issue, Carol Danvers and mysteriously become pregnant. Yep. It's explained that she was teleported by the Avengers supervillain Immortalus, well, a guy called Marcus, basically raped Miss Marvel, and she got pregnant with him, and she later formed a relationship with him. Yes, and also, for some reason, the Avengers are written to be not horrified by this, but being jovial, despite the fact she was frickin' raped. By the way, this particular storyline is never mentioned in current stuff because even the current writers know this was an absolute stupid idea. I've heard that Jim Shooter himself has actually apologized for this damn story. If you want to know who came up with this story, it was Jim Shooter, Bob Layton, David Sleedy, and George Perez. Yes, these four guys came up with this damn story. And this was just like 8 years before the controversial episode The Child. But at least that episode handled this stuff a lot better than this piece of garbage did. Yeah. Also, I heard, like almost all copies of this book is also, I heard, very hard to find because people hate this comic book. It is that freaking terrible. Yes. Yeah, so Chris Claremont decided to just fix this by having it where we have the Avengers and number 10, where basically Carol Danvers basically should have acted the way she did in Avengers 200, being basically ticked off of the Avengers while they were acting the issue. Oh, and by the way, the Marcus character, who she later went off with to be his like boy girlfriend, despite the fact this technically she gave birth to him, it was absolutely disgusting. He dies. Yep, they killed the character off because even Claremont knew this was stupid. So, and this issue is also noteworthy for the debut of Rogue. Yes, Rogue, who made a debut as a villain. Yes, people do remember that the Rogue is somewhat associated with Carol Danvers due to their shared history. This book started it. Yeah, and because this, Carol Danvers was briefly put into a coma because Rogue held onto her for too long because her ability thing is that whenever she touches people, she absorbs their powers. Apparently, she held her power on for too long, so she fell into a coma for a brief period of time. And then, of course, like right after this, then she just became like not long after she became binary, and she popped up for the next like 5 years. Yes, up until like the mid 90s. For the course of the past 10 years, her appearances were, let's say, sporadic. Pops up issues of Avengers, and Kenny X-Men, New Mutants for a couple issues, an issue of Excalibur, and a solo adventure. That's all they did with the character. They did almost nothing with her at all. Even appeared in the X-Men on the Spotlight on the Starjammers. Eventually, by the late 90s, she came back to Earth, became Warbird. Yes, that was an entity she briefly assumed, Warbird, which she first assumed in 1998. Approximately 21 years after she became Miss Marvel, though she basically was wearing her, like, when people think of her as Miss Marvel, people think of the black suit with the S on the front and the scarf tied around the waist. Yeah, originally that was tied around her neck, and then they put it on her waist. Currently, as Captain Marvel, she still has that scarf, despite the fact she's not wearing the same damn suit. Also, they started giving her. She was kind of thin, but not that thin. A little muscle on her. And they also apparently gave her a substance abuse problem. Yeah, they made her an alcoholic for some reason. I have no idea why the heck this was. Also, I forgot to mention that in her original book, Spider-Man appeared as a recurring character in the book. You want to know why? Because she worked for the Daily Bugle as part of the Women magazine, a magazine owned by Jameson, which she was the editor of, and she had an office. I will talk about that when I talk about the Ms. Marvel Epic Collection book, which I have with me on my bed next to me. Yeah. Then, of course, after appearing sporadically with the Avengers book, also an issue of Iron Man, she quit the team, popped up an issue of X-Men. This was, of course, right after they established the Xavier Security Enforcers, which, yeah, her authority became very useful with that, because she basically called bullcrap on a bigoted sheriff who wouldn't allow the mutants to actually do their damn jobs. Because they were recognized as federal agents by the U.S. government. Because this sheriff was being a bigot, he refused to allow it. Yep. And then later on, we see, like, when she showed the pages of and then by 2005, we had House of M happen. And she took up the identity of Captain Marvel's reality, despite the fact she's wearing her Miss Marvel costume. For some reason, Marvel tends to refer to her costume, the black costume, as the Warbird costume, because she wore it when she was Warbird. That's by the fact this is her Miss Marvel costume. After House of M, apparently she decided to give herself a workout and put on a ton of muscle. Yes, she became very muscular. Yeah. And she got her own solo title again in 2006. Yep. A title that lasted for 5 years. Yep. Starting in 2006. Actually, with 4 years this book lasted for. Written by mostly Brian Reed. He wrote the majority of the book. The book itself is fantastic. I highly recommend it. I think even Crystal's Gage got a chance to write the book. And the book did tie into a few different crossovers. It did not tie into Civil War 1. It did tie into the beginning, but they moved. And this book also is noteworthy for the debut of Captain Marvel's cat, Chewie. Yes, this is the book that the cat first showed up in. They'll kill Suhanic basically, or retcon this cat is actually an alien. Yeah, which is some cat she randomly found. My only guess is the reason why Marvel gave her a cat, because Power Girl was known for having a cat, so why not give one to Carol Danvers? Okay. Yep. And she basically created this book for Quest. She also led her own team in the book, and she got herself a sidekick in the form of Arena, aka later on Spider Girl. Yep, she was Miss Marvel's sidekick for a couple years, and then she stopped. She also had her own team in the book, Operation Lightning Storm, which is of like Sleepwalker and a few other people. She also took up charge of after the events of Civil War One, her own Avengers team, the Mighty Avengers. Despite the fact her boss is on the team, she is the boss of the team. Yep, the group consists of her, the original Wasp, Jenny Van Dyne, Iron Man, Wonder Man, Ares, Sentry. It was a pretty good team. Yeah, she led the team for about 2 years. And then after Secret Invasion, the group was disbanded, though they did form another version of the group under the guise of Hank Pym. She, of course, got moved over to New Avengers, where she stayed up until 2012. But then, after events of Siege, her book got cancelled after 50 issues, an annual, a special, and a one-shot. Yeah, not bad for a particular run. Then she hung out in the book of the New Avengers for a couple years, and then, like, right after the events, like, pretty much, like, storyline-wise, after events of AVX, despite the fact the book came out toward the end of AVX, she basically got a new solo book as Captain Marvel. She had finally taken up the name Captain Marvel after the third time Marvel has died. First he died back in 1981. Second time he died in the very overlooked, very underrated Chaos War story. He was briefly resurrected, and he got killed by the freaking Grim Reaper being stabbed by him in issue 2 of Chaos War Dead Avengers. And he was brought back again, this time with the freaking Phoenix Force. Yeah, apparently the Kree used the Phoenix Force to resurrect him, and then he died. This, of course, in the pages of Secret Avengers. Yep. So because of his death, she became Captain Marvel, which she still has to this very day. And she's pretty much had the same costume. The red and blue attire with a silk scarf around her waist. She, of course, given this identity by the awesome Killer Suhanic, who, by the way, made a cameo in the Captain Marvel film. She's a redhead, and she's the wife of Matt Fraction. She's actually a few years older than he is. She was writing the book for about a few years, starting in 2012, ended in 2015. Yeah, basically a 4-year run. Her first run lasted for 17 issues. Also even had a crossover with Avengers Assemble, the End Within story. This is actually a pretty good run writing-wise, though after the first year, for some reason, the original artist was replaced with a really awful artist, and the book suffered because of that, and then the book got cancelled. Yep. But it was brought back the following year. Basically had it where in the first issue it was established that she was in a relationship with Jim Rhodes, aka War Machine. When the heck this happened? Never explained. Yep. And by the way, this is probably the only book Rhodey appeared in, because after his Iron Page book got canceled, for the next 2 years, this is the only book he appeared in, because apparently Marvel didn't care about this character at all. Nope, they just did not care. He popped up for the first issue, popped up for the technically Carol's 100th issue, which was the 10th issue of this run, and then he came back at the ending when a character that appeared in the previous volume, who was a friend of Carol Danvers, who was revealed to be a lesbian. I had no problem with that. That's perfectly fine. She dies, and of course she also had a spaceship the whole run. She was off in space for a year. Joined apparently, Marvel advertised in, I believe it was 2014, I believe it was, she was going to join the Guardians of the Galaxy. She never joined the whole teasing thing, as a matter of fact, was advertised in the Free Comic Day issue that she joined the Guardians. Nothing but a big fat lie. And then, for some strange reason, she showed up in the storyline Guardians Assembled. Like, first, she appears to get 15, despite the fact she's not in a damn book. Nope, she actually, yeah. One of two times Marvel's actually lied about a character appearing in the book. The other time was an issue of the Miles Morales Spider-Man book where they had him fight frickin' Venom. Yes. As for why the heck this was never explained. Like, the cover had him be attacked by frickin' Venom, and the book had nothing to do with that at all. Nope, the cover was a big fat lie. Eventually, the character did appear in the following issue. Yeah, she appeared in the following issue of the book, and she was there for a little while. Appeared for that storyline. Missed the next storyline. Appeared in. She missed Original Sin. The Original Sin time. She appeared a little bit in Planet of the Symbiotes, and then she appeared in Black Vortex. And after Black Vortex, we had Secret Wars happen, which she was actually one of the handful of superheroes to actually survive. Yep, because she's popular. So, had her survive the destruction of Earth 616, playing a minor role in the event of Secret Wars, had her own mini-series, which was also the last book Kelly Holland did for Captain Marvel before leaving Marvel Comics. And then after Secret Wars, she got her own book again, still, and the book kept changing writers. Yes, over the course of 3 years this happened. Yes, the book went through 3 different creative teams. First, it was the writers behind Agent Carter for the first story arc, and then it was Christos and Ruth Gage, and then Margaret Schuhall. As for why this was, no idea. The book itself basically was an Alpha Flight book in a way, where they had this supporter from Canada who revealed to be old Alpha Flight villain Master of the World. A guy who I think a lot of Marvel readers thought this guy was dead because everyone thought Vindicator basically killed this guy back at the end of the 4th volume of the miniseries for Alpha Flight. Nope, he's alive. As for how the heck he's alive, it's never explained. Then, of course, the group is sort of like, and of course we have relaunched as Mighty Captain Marvel, a defense of Civil War II. And of course you have Secret Empire happen, where she was basically didn't do anything with it because she was trapped outside the freaking plane against the planetary shield. And then, right after that particular event wrapped up, then she went off to another dimension for a few issues, part of Marvel Legacy stuff, Dark Origin with Phil Noto doing the awesome covers. Yep, and then the book ended. Yep, and then last year we had the launch of a miniseries, The Life of Captain Marvel, which revealed that Carol Danvers is half Kree. And this was also Margaret Schuhall's last book she did for Carol Danvers. As the book ended, it's like, okay, what do you have to do with the character? Of course, the character also did occasionally appear in the Camilla Khan title as a recurring character, which I do appreciate G. Will Wilson doing that. And of course, the current writer has had Carol Danvers appear for a couple issues of his run. Yep. And now the book is done by Kelly Thompson, with Amanda Carr doing the cover art, which is fantastic. The book itself was really good so far. Check out my review of the first trade of the run. But yeah, this run's only had about 10 issues so far. Really good. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And, well, overall, fun book. Even had her team up with the Jessica Drew Spider-Woman. Also had several other characters in the book, which I thought was fantastic. Yeah. Though she's also part of the main Avengers book. Yep. She's on there too. First time she's been on the main Avengers team since Secret Wars. That was the last special time. Because she was part of Alpha Flight. Then she took a break from Alpha Flight. Now she's doing whatever. Also, for some strange reason, she apparently has got a new apartment now. Because previously, at the end of her Kelly Sue Holling's first run as Captain Marvel, they had her live in the head of the Statue of Liberty. And then for some reason, they had her stop doing that, and now she's living in an apartment on Roosevelt Island. Yep. But not much else to say about Carol Danvers. Fantastic character. My favorite female character from Marvel Comics. Yep. So yeah, that's it for this particular review. That particular episode of Comic History. I am planning to do later on a comic history of Moon Knight because, well, he's getting his own, let's just say, series for Marvel Plus. Of course, Carol Danvers has appeared in comics a few times. Appeared in Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I believe she also appeared in the Avengers Confidential Punisher, Black Widow, and non-speaking cameo. Had her own movie, which was really good. I saw it this year. Avengers Endgame. And I heard recently that, of course, she's going to get a sequel. Of course, the movie itself was loosely based upon the Kree Skrull War from Roy Thomas, which was, of course, her creator. Yep. It was also the second to last film to feature a cameo by Stan Lee, who was reciting his lines from Mallrats, of all things. And there was even a cameo appearance by the woman who gave her identity as Captain Marvel, Carol Suhanic. She's the redhead, appears at the train station. Yep. But otherwise, though, that's it for this particular video. I have roughly one more video planned to do today, and that'll be another review for Card Captor Sakura, okay? See you in the next view. Bye.